guy
Yeah,
here.
there we go. Sweet as. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay, so so what I like to do is so the thing is that if we were to go ahead and start to inscribe these things, right?
Mm.
What happens is this is the mempool here, and so what they would do is they would show up. So this is the mempool. So this is this is the memory pool is what it's short for.
Yeah.
But it's basically like all of the transactions that are floating around between the miners and the Bitcoin network. And the way
Wow.
that blocks are made is the miners come in and they assemble, they use these transactions, right? And they order them in a way that they will make the most money off of fees, right? That's why there's a fee market.
Mm.
But they end up sticking as many of these transactions inside a single block as they can, right? And the first miner to kind of solve the block puzzle, so they run some sort of cryptographic hash on this block with all these transactions in it, and whoever can solve it first uh, will broadcast that block back out to the network, and everybody will deem it a valid block, and then it will get appended to the end of the chain, right? So here's kind of the blocks here, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
we're on and so the further we go to the left, the further we get to the Genesis block, which was mined in 2009 from
Wow.
Satoshi himself, right? And here we go all the way up to now, which is block number 782,962.
Yep.
We can actually click this block, and we can see the actual block, which is the exact transactions that were involved. So a lot of these smaller ones are probably simple, you know, Bitcoin sent from this person to that person, right? But some of these larger ones might be okay. So this is actually an inscription, right? So
Mm.
some of these other ones might actually be pictures
Mm-hmm.
or data or some sort of inscription. So if you were to go back to some of the blocks when Bitcoin apes were minting out, you would see much larger. I'm sure we can probably find one in the mempool here. Yeah, see these
Yeah,
much
wow.
larger blocks. This might be this would have been like a Bitcoin ape or something, right?
Wow.
So where am I going with this? Well, when we go to inscribe one of these, images, or I would probably do like 25 or 50 at a time, right? What that means is they're all going to be kind of sitting here in the mempool, right? And anybody can kind of come and click it and look at the data. They can go to details here, and they can actually see the data here. And this is the actual image file here on the Bitcoin blockchain. This is the hex information for this image that this person is uploading. And what somebody malicious can do is they can sit here and they can look for cool pictures that people are trying to inscribe and copy the transaction completely and rebroadcast that transaction with a higher fee rate. So see how this fee rate's set to 8, right?
Yeah.
I could come over here and I could copy this data that this person's trying to inscribe, and I could rebroadcast the fee rate at 10. And the miner software, the software that the miners use, will put that malicious person's copy of the image in front or ahead of our image. So when it gets down to seeing the actual ordinal's inscription number, right, which basically decides everything, the malicious person would have a lower inscription number than we would, and so we would have trouble proving provenance in that case, right?
Mm.
Because they would have, their Bitcoin bunk would be 635,534, and we might be 539. And now they have a claim to fame to say, hey, well, we have a lower inscription number, therefore we created this art or something, right? I mean, anything like that can happen, but um, so how can you kind of solve this is what I kind of want to go over real quick, and why I'm a big fan of, and I don't know if anybody else is doing this, but I'd like Bitcoin Bad Bunnies to be the first,
Nice.
is to have like a pre-manifest. So it's basically a list of signed hash codes of the image. Do you know what a SHA-256 checksum is?
Yeah.
For an image, right? You take an image, you SHA-256 checksum it, you get like a fingerprint of that image. And if that image was modified or tampered with at all, like if one pixel changed, the fingerprint would be a completely different number, right? So each of these Bitcoin Bad Bunnies have their fingerprint. They have their hash code. I can actually show you how to calculate that. So this is a common thing that you're in. And remember, you could do SHA-256 checksums for any arbitrary data payload. It could be an image file, it could be video, audio, it could be text, whatever, right? So you can SHA-256 sum anything. And so if you're on Linux, let me just go to, I'll show you, we'll go to like bunks here, and we have this. So then you could do SHA-256 sum, and you pass it a file. So I'm just going to do 100.png. And boom, it spits back. See how it spits back this hash code here?
Yeah, nice.
This is the fingerprint. So
cool.
If you noticed on bitcoinapes.com, when you click this down here, it has this SHA-256 hash, so that therefore when you download the image, you can run this command on that image that you download and verify that this number matches up with this number. And that's how you verify that no middleman got in the way and modified the image at all, right? You're 100% certain that that image was not, corrupt in its download or wasn't tampered with by somebody else, because you can actually match the SHA-256 hashes, right?
Yeah.
All right, so that's kind of a big deal going into this pre-manifest, is this notion of like any sort of image or data file has their fingerprint, and if that image is ever modified, it would generate a completely different, like it wouldn't even start with 099. Like it would be completely different. You would not be able to tell that it was even close to the same image, even if like somebody opened this bunny up and changed 1 pixel from white to black. Like it would be completely different.
Yeah, wow.
So the idea is, and how to prove that we are the original creators of the Bitcoin Bad Bunnies. We're assuming that somebody's going to notice the bunny in the mempool and set a higher fee rate and get a lower inscription number. Like that's what we're assuming, right?
Yeah.
So how do we combat that? Well, what we do is we compute these hash codes for every single bunny, right? All the way from bunny 1 to bunny 200. We get a list of these hash codes. I actually already did that. So
nice.
Here it is here. So this is every single bunny, right?
So insane.
This is 1, 2. These are all the different SHA-256 checksums for each one. And so let's think about this now. So if we were to just take this entire file, right, and we were to upload and we were to inscribe this first, right? Does that solve our problem? So we're kind of like, it's almost like an intent to inscribe type of manifest, right? Like,
wow.
Okay, here's the fingerprints that we're going to upload, right? Here's the images that will be inscribed at a later date and time, but because we're the people to first inscribe this document, therefore we own the fingerprints that will come down the way, right? You'll be able to take an actual bunny image 2 weeks from now, compute the hash code, and be able to say, hey, this hash code first appeared in this inscription number, therefore whoever made this inscription must be the creator of that bunny, right? There's one problem with this though as well, right? Is somebody could see this in the mempool, this file, right, with all these hash codes, and they can increase the fee rate of that and be the first to inscribe the SHA-256s. So that just kind of kicks the can down the road. So how do you solve that? Well, you take each one of these and you sign it with a private key. So, and you get a signed message, kind of like on Ethereum, whenever you sign like a message on Ethereum using your MetaMask, you get like this weird string of characters that's basically the message digest. It's called a signature. And using the input plus your private key, you can get that signature digest, that message digest. So the thing is that we're going to have to sign. So using a private key that only Bad Bunnies knows, we're going to sign each one of these and output the message digest for it, right? So you're not going to see this at all. So the new file that we upload is going to be just a list of signed message outputs, right? And now it doesn't matter if somebody were to steal that and re-upload it before us. we hold the private key, and we can always prove that we signed that message, right? They can't recreate that message output. Only we can. And the way that we do that is we'll use our private key plus this SHA-256 checksum, and we'll therefore get that signed message output. So that's the kind of the whole gist around like the pre-manifest is it really proves that all the bunnies came from the person that controls this specific private key. So that's the idea. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, no, look, it's awesome. And
Okay.
the cool thing in screen recording this too would be if there was like a little inset of my recording my face, because I was just kind of, grinning ear to ear because it's just so cool. Like,
Yeah, it's neat.
just,
So what we're gonna have to do basically is we technically could use the 12 words that you just made to set up your Sparrow, right?
yeah,
We could use that to sign these. What we're really doing here is we're just signing arbitrary data, just like
yeah,
you can do on MetaMask. I would suggest, you know, the way that we could do that is, I mean, there's really nothing wrong with doing that with the 12 words that you have. The only problem is you'd have to get those 12 words to me, and I don't want to send those over Discord or anything like that. So what I can do, and because it's not that, I mean, this is
yeah,
kind of just a way of proving provenance.
for sure.
We don't need, we're not going to be sending the bunnies to this wallet. This wallet's really just used in case there's ever a question on who might own the bad bunnies. We can sign a message that says we do.
We do, yeah,
Some
sweet.
guy, some guy named Tim is like, hey, how do you know you're the owner of this? We could say, hey Tim, we can literally write a message called, hey Tim, we're the original owner. We hold the private key to this, and we could sign that message, that text file, with the same private key that we use to sign these.
Amazing.
And now Tim will be able to know, like, okay, this pre-manifest was signed by the same person that signed this message to me. Therefore, they must be the controller of that
Awesome.
signed key. So what I can do is I can generate the 12 words just for the provenance.
Yep.
Steiner thing on my end,
Cool.
and I can get them to you somehow. We'll I don't know, maybe download Signal or something like
Yeah,
that, and I can send
we'll
them over that.
for sure.
But just safe keep it in. But in your notes, wherever you're keeping your private your seed phrases for other stuff, just make a note that it's not actually holding anything, any Bitcoin, any inscriptions. It's just used to prove provenance or signatures in the future. So that's what I'm about to do here is I'm going to generate this 12 words for the provenance, for Bitcoin Bad Bunnies provenance, and I'll get those to you. And then that's the first thing we want to inscribe, though, before we do any bunnies.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, so checking the balance real quick. Okay, so what that does, it prompts it to re-index some of the blocks that have come in since the last time I've run a command. All right, so we're good to go. So this is saying that I have this much Satoshis available to inscribe on.
Yeah.
So in the ord, in this ordinals domain, we have certain terminology like inscriptions. We have terminology like ordinal, and then you have the opposite of an ordinal is a cardinal, which an ordinal is like a Satoshi that you want to track, right? It's like a Satoshi that might have an inscription inscribed on it, or maybe it's a Satoshi that came from the infamous Bitcoin pizza transaction. It's something that you want to track. Everything else, all the other Satoshis that are kind of available for you to spend freely, that aren't inscribed on, at least in the Ord software, they're called cardinals. So we have, however many Satoshis this is, 20 million some odd Satoshis. So, this might be, we have this much available for us to inscribe with.
Cool.
So what I like to do is, in order to get that, you run sudo ord wallet balance. That's what gives you this. What we'll do is I will do this. So I'm going to actually use another wallet that I have, calling it the escrow wallet that I have on my system. So you after you do sudo ord, you kind of do this little argument here where you can pass it another of your wallets. So I have a main wallet, which is selected by default. That's where I keep my personal inscriptions.
Yep.
And then for doing escrow services for other people or inscribing services for other people, I have another wallet, installed in my system. It has its own 12 words, all that good stuff, but I named it W_escrow.
Yep.
So I passed that after the ord keyword and before the first command, which is wallet. So to get the balance of this one, same thing. So there's a little more Satoshis on this one. Let's see if I have any inscriptions. I shouldn't, because I usually inscribe and send them immediately. So we're good there. Okay, so now we're going to do the inscribe command here. And if we do inscribe help, so actually I believe it would be help like this. Okay, so this kind of gives us the commands that ord wallet can use here. So here it is here. So create inscriptions. So we'll do inscribe. I give it a path. So I'm gonna traverse through and get the. So there's that file we just made with all those signatures. And what I like to do is I do a dry run first.
Yep.
And then I do a fee rate of. So I come back to this and I take a look at the. So this is the last block that went through. We could see that this last block included fees that span from 9 to 38 Satoshis for VByte. This is the current competition. This yellow block here. This is the mempool block. And I'm competing with other transactions that look to be between 26 and over 1,000 sats per VByte. So this is a very highly contested block. We could see that people that do not need the priority right now to get into this very next block by clicking this. This is the second block here. And it looks like I'm competing with, 13 to 26.
Yeah, cool.
So what I can do is I can just set the fee rate to like 25 to maybe try to get into this first block here. And then because it's a dry run, it won't actually send it. I can hit enter here and it'll actually tell me the total in fees that I'll be paying. So this is actually how much it will cost. So I usually like to get a mental version of that in my head here. So I come to this converter. Hopefully it's up, and I just pop this in here. So it's like $32 to inscribe the pre-manifest file, and I think that's money well spent.
Yeah.
To
for sure.
Close that up. Let's see. Oh, probably should put this back up. Okay. All right. So let's see. Actually, always on top. Okay. Now I can. Okay. All right. I hope that you weren't going to rotoscope that window because I just moved it on you. Sorry.
No.
All right, let's see. So, okay, so might as well just send this out, right? And we'll get this thing cooking.
For sure.
All right, so let's keep this fee rate at 25, and we'll remove the dry run thing here. Oh, one last thing. They just added this beautiful thing called a destination address. So about a month ago, I would have to first inscribe it, which would take 10 minutes minimum, and then I have to send it out as a separate transaction.
Yeah.
But now I can actually do it all in the same one by setting the destination address here.
Yep.
So this is where you come in. I need in like your Sparrow wallet, you'll have to generate me a. So let's see here. So
I've got it open.
Yeah. So you just go to the wallet, and then you'd go to receive.
Yeah, receive.
And it's gonna give you a new
address.
DC1 address there, and just paste that.
Copied.
Paste that into me.
Yeah, cool.
There we go. And so I can just put this here. I'm gonna attach the dry run back. Okay. All right, now. Make sure everything's good. Here we go. Boom. Perfect. Okay. All right, now we're going to notice that it outputted a few things just like it did in the dry run. Outputs the same thing, except now it actually broadcasted that transaction out to the network.
Cool.
As soon as a transaction is broadcast out to the network and a node picks it up, it just starts slinging around the network, right? It's peer-to-peer. So they just start passing that transaction all around. It gets into all the miners' mempools, and, you know, miners are looking at that as a way to make money, right? So now it's kind of hard to take that back once it's out there. So it's out there. So now we can actually take. You can notice it gave us 2 transaction hashes here.
Yep.
So what I like to do is I take the commit transaction, I pop it into mempool here. Let's move this out of the way for a second, and we can see that. So here it is, right? So we got a fee rate of 25, which we set. We can see that it's, you know, using a fee of $38.50, which is about $1. And this is what it looks like. So it took one of my unspent transaction outputs that I have in the escrow wallet, and it split it out into 3 different outputs. Well, 2 different outputs, and then I paid the fee to the miner, right? So this output here is the inscription. This output so this output here is actually it's called a change address. So whatever it doesn't use in that Bitcoin transaction, I send it back to myself. So this BC1 PVAM here is actually another address that my escrow wallet produced. It's called a change address. So this address here and this address here are controlled by the same private key, right? You can think about it like that. And so this here is the actual inscription. So if we click this, so this is the actual inscription here. So we can see that we spent about $32, right? Here's the fee. Most of it goes to the miner because it needs to store that information, and the rest of it goes to this other output, which you can see has 10,000 satoshis on it. This is the actual inscription.
Yeah, wow.
Here. So we could see if we go to details here. This is some like header information that is specific to Bitcoin, I believe. But this you'll notice that there's always this 2039 that starts here. This is the actual data payload for the inscription. All of this here. So these are all those signature. That's all this right here.
Yeah.
And so that's that. And then this little bit here is the 10,000 satoshis that are the inscription and postage. So we click this. Well, this doesn't really go anywhere. But what's kind of neat is you could copy this transaction here, this transaction number, and you can go to ordinals.com, and you can put it in here. And it's not inscribed yet, but it kind of does a breakdown. It shows us our input and shows us our output. But we'll come back to this once it's actually mined, and you'll see the actual text document here.
Awesome.
Once it's in there. So that's that.
Awesome.
See. So what I want to do is I want to let this mine. I want to let somebody pick this up, which we should probably be in the next block. I'm seeing like 16 is the lowest. So we're 25. We should be fine. So once that's done, then I want to possibly have you screen share Sparrow, and I want to just show you how to use Sparrow a little bit.
Yeah, cool.
Once you have that inscription living in your Sparrow.
Yeah, cool.
wallet.
Yeah, I was going to say,
Then I'll probably just script. I'm going to write a script to like do 50 bunnies at a time.
Cool.
So I don't know. I'm probably going to have to do that off stream because it's screw that up.
Yeah.
But,
absolutely. And then we'll pop back on.
Yeah, we could go through it a little bit, but I mean, this is all so low level, right? Like, it's command line, so in the future there's nothing stopping like a super nice UI based inscription service, like that somebody writes for, it might use Ord under the hood because Ord's a really nice, easy to use command line tool, but everything's so early still, so we still have to kind of. I remember just a few weeks ago, if you accidentally forgot to include a fee rate, it would set the fee rate to like 1, and so it would just
Be there
never get
forever.
mined, right? It would never get mined, so it would literally be stuck. And because like in order to get something unstuck, you have to do some pretty manual things on Bitcoin. Uh, if you were to do this from like a wallet, like a Bitcoin wallet that you actually cared about the inscriptions on, maybe you paid $5,000 for a punk or something.
Yeah.
People were just like they were just like letting it go until there's better tooling, and so now, there's better tooling to actually save those stuck transactions. You could have always went into Ordicord and like talked to one of the guys there. They're super helpful, and they could have probably wrote like a custom transaction for you that got that stuck transaction pushed through. But it's just another thing, like growing pains. Like we'll get through it.
But
But
that's what's interesting, and why was sure we kind of needed to record this, just because it is so early, and this stuff is fascinating, and the conversations we've had so far, getting the Bitcoin Bad Bunnies off the ground, are just incredibly interesting. So like it's uh yeah, let's just record it for history, if not anything else.
yeah, for sure, for sure.
Cool. So should we pause, and then I'll screen share uh, the Sparrow wallet, and then take a break, and so you can script. Is that the process?
Yeah. We'll
Yeah. Cool.
probably, well, yeah. We'll probably take like 30 minutes, for me to write the script, and
Yeah.
then we'll get back on and run it. And
Cool.
yeah, just right now, just making sure that everything's copacetic with your wallet, and that you're able to receive and freeze and all that
Yes.
kind of stuff. So
Totally.
yeah, it shouldn't be more than a few minutes here.